Benjamin Rich, aka Bald and Bankrupt, is a 48-year-old British travel YouTuber who has conquered the travel vlogging niche, who came into the spotlight through his documentation of his travels around the world, most notably through post-Soviet states. However, after an army of investigators sifted through his content, the internet is painting a darker picture of the Bald and Bankrupt. In order to find out who Bald is and understand his story, we need to go back. Travel channels are a fantastic way to explore the world without having to go to the back end of nowhere. However, Ben isn't your typical world traveller who goes to Bali to find themselves. He's a genuine explorer who travels to extremely remote areas that most Western eyeballs have never seen. In the early 90s, Ben went on a month trip backpacking through India and fell in love with the culture, so stayed for an extended period of time and opened a small hotel business during his stay. He also stayed in Moscow, Russia for 2 months in 1993. This is where his fascination for exploring and interest in Soviet history was inflamed. He has stated that he has an ex-wife who's Belarusian, however filed for a divorce in 2001. He learned the Russian language and had a business in the UK that went bankrupt, hence the name Bald and Bankrupt. Some people have alleged that Bald committed credit card fraud, which apparently resulted in him creating different aliases and ultimately leaving the country. One of his alleged aliases, titled The Fantasist, stated in an online forum, "I owed £30,000 on credit cards and bank loans here in the UK about 5 years back. There was no way I could pay it back. I decided to change my surname to my mother's maiden name and changed address and never heard from them again." In the UK, if you owe £30,000 or more, you can declare bankruptcy. But how do we know the Fantasist or any of the aliases is Bald and Bankrupt? Let's keep digging. In 2018, YouTuber Harold Balder convinced Ben to create a YouTube channel, where in June he would begin to document his travels through India. After establishing his channel with his India content, he moved to Russia in February 2019. His move to Russia and exploration of post-Soviet states would be the catalyst for his rise on YouTube. He gained praises and national headlines for exploring unheard history and stories through candid conversations with locals and drunken adventures through remote towns. A lot of people also loved his no-nonsense video style, with simple editing and informative content. While he travelled, he was also occasionally accompanied by his girlfriend, Alina, a Belarusian woman he met before his YouTube channel. His travels even inspired him to write a book about his experiences travelling through parts of Belarus affected by the Chernobyl disaster, under another alias called Arthur Chichester. In November 2019, following a video he filmed on a train to Chechnya, Bald was forced to apologise on camera by Chechen authorities for referring to a local woman as a chick.
Night at some stop, a Chechen chick turns up and shares my compartment with me. And I can put on some romantic lighting. Oh, salam alaikum, sister. Would you like a glass of, Baltica?
Salam alaikum, все люди здесь в Республике Чечня. Меня зовут Бенджамин, я из Англии. Я влогер, у меня есть канал на YouTube. Случайно что-то плохо бывало. Пару дней назад я сделал мой фильм на YouTube, оставил там. И я говорил что-то, которое не были красивые, честно говоря, про женщину в Чечне.
Being in an extremely politically sensitive area in the world, this wouldn't be the last time that Bald would have run-ins with the authorities. In May 2022, Bald was arrested outside a derelict spaceport by authorities in the steppe of Kazakhstan. He managed to get into the derelict spaceport and see the Buran. The Buran was a Soviet space shuttle which was created due to fears of the Western powers being able to weaponize space. He managed to find the location of the Buran shed due to the help of an urban explorer photographer and had to walk 30 kilometers to the Cosmodrome in remote Kazakhstan with his female companion Alina.
This is peak Bald and Bankrupt. Peak Soviet. Peak everything. We made it. There's 2 Burans in here. The second one's over there. This is a ship that was going to go to space, the final frontier. This was the peak. The tip of the spear of human knowledge and development went into building this. Look at it. Imagine. It started with Sputnik, and we end up with a Buran.
which resulted in international headlines, although Bald stated after meeting the FSB and a few cups of tea that they were released and received a roughly $50 fine. On the 1st of September 2022, Bald posted a vlog to his channel titled "The Journey is Over," announcing that he had been arrested and subsequently ordered to leave Russia and banned from returning. He was banned due to previously calling Vladimir Putin crazy and posted a fundraiser for Ukraine. Bald's police interview was published in Russian media following his arrest and expulsion from the country. He was charged with discrediting the Russian armed services, and it was alleged that Russian authorities could have given him up to 15 years in prison.
Два причин есть. Первая причина, знаете, в Западе, в Англии, наши СМИ постоянно делают давление, что, как сказать, ну, против России, можно так сказать, и особо против вашего президента. И, конечно, это было влияние на меня, я слышал это только этого. И я был там, когда я был там в Украине, это было очень рано, война. Я думаю, что это сумасшедшее решение. Я не понял в это время совсем подробностей, почему это все произошло. Просто, война, почему. И, ну да, я сказал, что я сказал, я писал, я думал, это может быть в этот момент. И тоже вторая причина, вы, может быть, не будете понимать это, но когда у вас есть лицо на YouTube, если вы хотите зарабатывать деньги еще, вам надо что-то сказать, что они хотят слышать, и что люди хотят слышать. Если нет, это будет проблема для вас.
Underneath the video, one online commenter stated, "That man is bullshitting to save his life. I bet after this he wouldn't want to be in Russia anyway. Looks terrifying." Another person stated, "As a Ukrainian, the video of Bald is what everyone would have done in his position. We have no hard feelings about the interrogation. I'm glad we get to see his adventures further." So from the surface level, the story I've told so far is an unusual one, because not everyone goes backpacking through post-Soviet countries, gets arrested, and documents all of it. But it's a fairly straightforward tale of a YouTuber's rise. However, if you scratch the surface, a darker picture is being painted. On Reddit, an army of 12,500 users joined the subreddit Bald and Balder Dossier, a subreddit dedicated to asking the question whether Bald and Bankrupt and his friend Harold Balder are sex tourists and prolific pickup artists. So what makes people believe that Bald is a pickup artist? People began to notice that in a lot of his videos, his language and the way he interacts with women is a bit suspect. In his very first video, titled "I Love India's Policewomen," you can see that throughout the video, it comes across as extremely weird and slightly predatory in the way he describes the policewomen.
I was in need of some form of salvation, something beautiful to cast my scratched eyeballs upon. And then, as I crossed the final mountain pass and descended into the green valleys of Himachal Pradesh, leaving the northern mountains of Ladakh behind, I saw what at first appeared to be a mirage, so perfectly did they stand out against the chaotic background of the city of Dharamsala. But they were no mirage. They were Indian traffic cops, and they were beautiful. With their neatly pressed, figure-hugging uniforms and blue caps beneath which they wore their hair in immaculate hairdos, I stayed in the city an extra day, for no other reason than to gaze upon them. In fact, I'd often stop to ask needless directions just to see their smiles up close, maybe feel a slight hint of their breath on my skin, and to prove to myself that these angels of the north were in fact real, and not just figments of my imagination.
Reddit users then discovered that a user by the name of Vakuta/The Fantasist would post in Rushfi Forum and Naughty Nomad, well-known pickup artist forums. So how do we know if Vakuta, the Fantasist, and the other aliases are Bald and Bankrupt? Well, Vakuta described in detail a charge that he and two of his friends were acquitted of in Winchester in the UK. Vakuta's description of the events, including timeline, area, and particulars of the case, all allegedly match exactly the reporting of the trial in the Daily Echo newspaper. The newspaper describes one of the defendants as a person called Benjamin Rich Swift. After the trial, Vakuta said he dropped the Swift part of his name and ran away from £30,000 credit card debt. Vorkuta also describes living on the Isle of Wight at the time. Reddit users continued with their proof, stating that Vorkuta also describes himself as being bald, 6'3" in height, being from Jewish heritage, moved from the Isle of Wight to Brighton, supporting Chelsea, having a Belarusian girlfriend, and how when they first visited India, he ran a guest house for 4 years, which all matches the Bald and Bankrupt's timeline. Vorkuta also allegedly details his learning of the Russian language, love for all things Soviet, and his many travels around Russia. Vorkuta confirmed suspicions when a user who lives in Belarus stated in a forum that he met Vorkuta, aka Mr. Bald, and then listed Harold Balder, who as we all know, is a longtime friend of Benjamin. More disturbingly, Vorkuta describes the tactics he used to sleep with local women, the most successful being to befriend local men and babushkas, earning their adulation and respect by showing them fake pictures of himself in affluent settings. In his words on the Rushvi forums, he states, "By the following day, they will have told all of their friends and more importantly, the young women of the wealthy foreigner who has just entered their shithole of a town. By the following evening, I can drop the babushkas and fake male friendships and move on to their women." Vorkuta calls this the Schindler technique. Most of the links used in the subreddit to show proof of the Rushvi forums no longer work. However, there is plenty of screenshots and proof of these fake photos via Bald's old Russian social media accounts, where you can see him getting off a private jet with the caption, "Arriving in Milan for Fashion Week." There are many entries on these forums from Vorkuta that I won't divulge into as we'd be here all day and they aren't really YouTube friendly. However, the majority play out as diary entries of his sex escapades through various countries with vile descriptions and complete lack of respect for the people and women of these countries. Bald is also a big proponent of Andrew Tate and has stated that he has had conversations with the man himself. Regardless of what your opinion is on the Tate brothers, stating your approval of Andrew Tate is always going to ruffle some feathers and create controversy. Bald stated on a YouTube community post that have since all been deleted, "I've been offline for a while and just discovered that Top G has been cancelled. In the past, we defied strongmen who were warriors and thinkers and built sculptures of them in public places. Nowadays, we defile men like that and ban their words from public space in case they upset someone. I know I'd rather have a night out with Tristan and Andrew than the pussies who were offended by their words." One online commenter stated, "Personal beliefs is one thing, complete lack of morality is another. I couldn't care less if Bald was right wing, left wing, admired Hitler or Stalin or whatever, his choice. But one of the things you cannot forgive is his sexism, misogyny and racism. Plenty of evidence of him referring to poor and often foreign women in vile, derogatory terms. Those aren't something one can accept or turn a blind eye to. I found Bald's videos entertaining and I've probably watched 80% plus of his entire YouTube channel. But the more you learn about the guy, the harder it is to justify supporting him." Another commenter stated, "This is honestly old news. I found out about all of this like 2 years ago while reading the comments on his channel. I also read similar things on Johnny FD's channel. There's a reason why both of them are friends." Bald last posted to his main channel 1 month ago and 6 months ago on his second channel, and has also deleted all of his photos from his Instagram profile. Some of Bald's die-hard fans are even divulging into conspiracy theories, contemplating whether the sex tourism comments is a character assassination from Russian trolls. This whole scenario in general is a very murky and sensitive topic that highlights a very different side to a YouTube creator that many people still love. So where will this story unravel next? Who knows?